Hey guys, this is Brave, and I'm back with another review. This time it's going to be Ready to Love. This is season 3, episode 3. The episode is titled Watch What You Say, and here we go. Okay, so we first start off with everyone mingling together, and we see Raymond. He's talking to Naya, and then he's like, it's crazy that I'm the oldest one here. Like, yeah, old man, you're 52. You are kind of old considering the age range of the women that are here. So she then asks him, like, oh, so do you have any kids? Because as we know, Naya does want to have children. And he lets us know that he has 5 kids. And she asks, well, how many baby mamas? He says that he has 4 baby mamas. Now, she was kind of like walking away in like a joking way. And he's like, well, I'm a musician. I'm sorry, but playing an instrument has nothing to do with you having kids all around the country. Like, I'm sorry, but that does not make any sense to me. You using your job as an excuse as to why you have 4 different baby mamas. But whatever, we just gonna let Raymond be Raymond. We next see that in his confessional, he mentions that he's going to, try to step it up, basically so he can stick around, but we'll see what happens with Raymond. All right, so we next see that Uncle Tommy, he comes in. He's there to let the group know that the women are in control this week and that 2 guys will be sent home. Not 1, but 2. I did not expect for it to be 2 guys going home so soon, but we'll see how the ladies, they made their decision. In his confessional, Kalfani, he mentions that he's super competitive, and I think we'll be seeing more so the women being competitive over him this season, because a lot of ladies, well, not a lot, but a few of the ladies, they definitely have their eyes on him. So we then see Jay and Joy chatting about each other and how each other have swag. And I can see them as a couple. They will be really cute together. And we also see Rashid showing Adriana how to play pool. I mean, I do like that these 2 get to have like a little do-over because they've gone on a date previously and it was just that one date, nothing else. And maybe then it was the wrong time. Maybe it was just bad timing for both of them. And now they have a second chance to try it again. So Chris and Naya, they're over there talking. And in his confessional, he said that Naya is not exactly the type of woman he would usually date, or that he was like, used to being with. And I'm just like, well, what type of woman are you out here dating, Chris? Like, I really want to know, because Naya is beautiful. She has her own thing going on, clearly. She has a great body. She has a good personality, seems like. What type of woman are you dating? Like, I really want to know, like, who was he dating before her? But anyways, so he ends up bringing up the fact that, at some point he would like to take her on a date. And I'm glad that we saw that date happen later on in this episode. We also see that Raymond, he goes and talks to Simone, who was also in the bottom last week, and he invites her on a group date. You guys, so Naya and Chris go on this date. They went kayaking on the lake, and honestly, it was so cute to watch, because, like, it's good. First of all, it's good to see Black people, doing things like kayaking on the lake. Let's be honest, we don't usually see that. But it looked like they were really enjoying each other's company. Like, I love that they hit it off. Okay, so after we see, a glimpse of their date, we then see that the camera goes back to a group of the cast talking, and you have Brian, he's saying that he's 40 days celibate with no slip-ups. And I get it, sir. That's pretty big, probably, for you to have 40 days under your belt. But then we see David. He chimes in, and he is like, oh, yeah, because I did that right before I got here. Basically meaning that he probably hooked up with a few people, tried to get all that out of his system before starting this process. And I feel like from there, we were not feeling David, because I don't know, it's just something about this guy. But we're going to discuss later as to why all the ladies were really over him. Also, what I noticed in this conversation that Brian said that, he had to do it because he can be a savage. And I'm like, in what way do you mean that you could be a savage? As in you could possibly be like a cheater, you do women wrong. How are you a savage? But I mean, hopefully later in the season that's going to be discussed. So one thing that I noticed though is that Alex, she definitely has a thing for Brian. She even said it in her confessional that he is, checking off boxes that she has. So we'll see later on this episode how those two had a little moment. So then we go back to Chris and Naya, and they go on a bench and they're just, having a good conversation. And I just love to see it. I mean, he even said that he wanted to kiss Naya, but he ended up realizing that maybe it was too soon. And they also had the discussion of wanting children. And it was honestly good to hear a guy be like, I want to have kids and my biological clock is ticking. Because honestly, who wants to be a parent of a newborn and you're like 50, 60 years old? That's kind of up there in age to be like, yep, I'm about to be running after a toddler. So we next see the date that Raymond set up. It was him, Simone, Joy, David, and I want to say Alicia as well. I can't remember if Jay was there because, Joy and Jay are always together. But anyways, they were just going over their thoughts. And Simone, she brings up how she kind of felt. You can honestly tell that, last week really must have affected Simone, because I feel like going into this week, she is very different. Last week, all I feel like I heard her ask was, do you got a passport? Do you got a passport? But this week, she's definitely singing another tune. She ends up letting the group know that, in the past, she's known that her dad loved her, but he actually didn't like her. And when she said that, that really did break my heart, because that sucks to know that your parent basically loves you because you're their child, but they don't like the person that you are. And then for her to realize that she was dating men who was just like her dad, oh my gosh, I feel like she's definitely going to need validation in a relationship, that she's appreciated and that she's loved, and that the person actually loves Simone for Simone herself. Just her authentic self. This guy is going to have to really care about who she is. The group also started to discuss how the process was for everyone on that first day. Just the process of them meeting each other. And they end up talking, the women end up talking to David. What is her name? Simone. She was basically saying how, how her and David had a conversation. She thought, that he actually liked her. And then David, he talks about how, everyone is just now starting to get to know each other. But then we also hear that Alicia chimes in, and she's like, well, David, you were at my top of my list, and every time I tried to talk to you, basically I could tell that you didn't want to talk to me. And he came up with some excuse about how, there was day 2 or whatever. But I honestly feel like he didn't want to talk to Alicia because Alicia was a curvier girl. That is one thing that I do have a problem with this show. I love the show just because we don't really get to see a dating show with black people in it. But where are the curvy girls? Where are the women of different shapes and sizes? But I digress. So next thing you know, Joy and David, they kind of, I guess you could say, get into it. Not really. She was more so offended because they were talking about, just the process, and he ended up like using his fingers and like pointing at her, and she was offended by that. So it then goes into them talking to Raymond, and Alicia was very honest about how, once she found out that he had 5 kids, that was basically too many kids for her. And I get it. She already has 2 kids. What are we going to do with 7 kids amongst us? Like, I'm sorry, but that's the household money being split way too many ways. They also talked to Raymond about, like, what is he looking for? Like, or is he looking for love? And he's like, well, no, I'm not looking for love. I've already found love in myself. I'm looking for a partner to share it with. Whatever, Raymond. Like, that just sounds like some line that he cooked up and it's working for him, because the show is called Ready to Love. Sir, I need you to actually want to love someone. But whatever. So we next see that the cast is going to have a pool party, and the guys are like, acting like little frat boys, but the guys were having like some type of push-up competition, and then they start taking their shirts off, and honestly, out of nowhere, Winter's like, ooh, look at Anthony. And I'm like, girl, ain't nobody thought about Anthony since he was rubbing on Denise's feet. Like, he is not attractive, and we have not seen him in any way, shape, or form do anything with these women. Like, I haven't even heard him really have a conversation with anyone. But we'll see where this goes with him, or even Winter, now that I think about it. So one thing that actually stood out to me during this time, though, was when Rashid was basically saying for like the women to take off their cover-ups or whatever. And who took notice? Denise. Because honestly, it seems like Denise has a personal vendetta against Rashid, but we're going to get to that a little bit later. So we get this scene with Rashid, Winter, and Naya. I think someone else was there. They were sitting, it looked like they were having dinner. And Rashid, he mentions that he got his pajamas from Nordstrom's. Now, I don't know into what context this conversation was being had, because we only saw this from like the middle of the conversation. So I don't know what was said before or why this was even a topic. But the other ladies, I believe it was Naya, she was like, well, I get my pajamas from Walmart or Target or whatever. And the other ladies, they agreed. I'm not sure if Rashid was saying this to be like braggy, because like, oh, Nordstrom, it is kind of known as a higher end department store, or if he was just in the motion to mention like, oh yeah, I got some pajamas out of Nordstrom. But this ends up biting him in the ass later on in the episode. Okay, so we then see Khalfani and Denise are having a conversation, and he, is asking her what else does she want to do with her life, because we know that she's a track coach, and she mentions that, she wants to have her own neighborhood and basically rebuild Black Wall Street. I think it's a great idea for her to have. I'm not sure if she's going to be able to execute it. I'm not trying to, block anybody's blessings or try to say what someone can or can't do. I'm just being realistic here. But their conversation actually turned into a spiritual one, because he mentioned his faith in God and how he knows where all his blessings come from. And their conversation, it went great. Like, they were both on the same page, it looks like, as far as spirituality. And I can kind of see this thing working out for Khalfani and Denise, because I've seen him talk to other women, and yes, he's on the minds of other women, but I don't know if they have the connection that he has with Denise. So we'll see if that heats up even more. So we get the next scene. It is Alicia. She's talking to David, and she asked him, are you the type of guy that likes to be in control? No, at first she said, who likes to be controlling? And then she kind of corrected herself and said, do you like to be in control of like the finances and what goes on in the household? And him being a typical guy is like, yeah, I like to be in control of the household and all this stuff. But he also shoots himself in the foot when he says, like, you know, you have 2 kids and I don't have any kids. I don't see how that could be all on me as far as financial responsibility. That's basically what he said. And that rubbed her the wrong way. Now, as a mother in her confessional, she does say that those are things that she has to talk about. I mean, she has to, you know, think about, because as a mom, you have 2 children that you have been providing for, and then you can't just bring somebody new into the situation and they don't feel like they need to accept your kids and put them first as well. Because at the end of the day, you are not only dating this woman, especially if marriage is possibly on the table, you're not just with her. This woman has 2 children. She is a package deal. Anytime a person has children, they are a package deal. You have to accept the woman with her children, as well as if you are a woman who's dating a man with kids. So I totally understand where Alicia was coming from when she's like, these are things that I need to think about. We then see a quick glimpse into a few of the dates that the couples were having on the show this episode. We can see that Joy, she was out with Jay. We also see Rashid, he's having a conversation with Adriana. And we see Winter, who looks like she's having a great time with Edwin, which I feel like we haven't seen a lot of Edwin, but maybe in the coming episodes we will. We also see the group get together and, you know, they're just talking about the competition and how the ladies, they make the decision on this episode. And Naya is basically like, well, Chris is kicking all y'all ass because, you know, she is feeling Chris. They had a great date. Like, I really feel like they may be like the couple that's in it to win it. Alright, so we next see like a little triple date happening. There was Rashid. Who else was there? Anthony, Brian, and then for the ladies, it was Denise, Alex, and Adriana. So they're all there playing Jenga, and it looks like they were all having a good time. Rashid, he ended up kissing, Adriana. He ended up kissing Adriana, and Alex ended up kissing Brian. And it's pretty interesting because those 2 couples, they are basically claiming that they are each other's. And Denise, you know, she still says that she has like a thing for Anthony, and how, according to her, he has this je ne sais quoi. I don't see it, but she sees it. Okay, girl. So we then see Raymond, and he is having a conversation with Adriana. And this conversation, it went south real quick because they were basically, you know, just talking about marriage. And he is basically saying that he doesn't believe in marriage. He could have just straight out said that. And he's like, you know, what is a piece of paper going to do? Because I treat all my relationships like a marriage. Like, I'm sorry, you're on a show called Ready to Love, and the whole purpose is that you would fall in love with this person and get married at some point. I'm pretty sure that every woman who's competing on this show wants to be married. How dare you come on this show and be like, oh no, first of all, he's already found love within himself, and secondly, he's like, oh, well, I don't believe in marriage. At this point, Raymond, I don't want to hear what else you have to say. And luckily, we won't have to. I honestly feel like Adriana, she was not feeling him anymore, because that definitely rubbed her the wrong way. And when I think about Adriana, I do think that I would rather see her with someone like Rashid than Raymond, just because like she's what, early 30s. I think she's like 31 or something like that. And this man is 52. He already have 5 kids, and you haven't even started having children. Like, that's just a lot. Like, honestly, that is a lot to be like 31 years old and be like, I'm dating this 50-year-old who already got all these kids. But I guess. So the ladies end up meeting up with nephew Tommy, which I realized that I think I might have said Uncle Tommy earlier, probably because I was thinking like Uncle Clifford from P-Valley. If you guys watch that show, then you would know who that is. But anyways, back to this show. The ladies meet up with nephew Tommy to talk about which guy they want to stay, which guy they're feeling. And of course, we have Alex. She says that she's feeling Brian. You have Joy, who says that she's feeling Calfani and Jay, which I'm kind of surprised that she even mentioned Calfani first, but whatever. So Winter basically said that she was feeling Anthony. Denise also said that she was feeling Anthony and of course Calfani. And then Adriana, she was like, Rashid is her man and Calfani can be her side piece. And lastly, Naya was asked, and of course she said that Chris is her guy and that this was the best date that she's probably been on in her life, and she's like 43. I think that's kind of crazy, just because I would expect for her to have been on some amazing dates, but you know, men can be trash. We all know this. So next we're going to be talking about who the ladies want to go home. And that's where things got a little interesting. So the first guy that's on the chopping block is going to be Raymond. I feel like rightfully so. A few of the ladies have a problem with the age because they may have an age gap. Some of the ladies don't really like the fact that he already has 5 kids and he doesn't seem to want any more. And then also, he doesn't want to be married, clearly. The second guy that's on the chopping block would be David. Of course, we know that the situation that he had with Alicia, with him saying that he wouldn't basically be willing to take care of her and her 2 children, the ladies weren't feeling that. A lot of the ladies were not really feeling his attitude. He can be kind of combative. And who really wants that in their partner? And of course, Denise, she says that she's not feeling Rashid. I feel like she's had a target on this guy's back since the first day that they met. She goes on to talk about him being a narcissist and lists how he's light-skinned and it's luxury this, luxury that, and all these things. Like, she wasn't listing any type of narcissism that he had about himself, but according to her, she's dated someone who's similar to the guy that she thinks that he is, and that's why she's having these feelings towards him. I mean, I feel like they're unwarranted. He hasn't done anything to her, but I feel like Denise was just being a bit much in this scene. So of course, some of the ladies had to go talk to the guys to let them know if they were staying or not. And in the end, Adriana ended up talking to Raymond, and she let him know that the ladies were not exactly feeling him. I mean, he took it fine. He didn't seem to, honestly, it didn't seem like he felt any type of way about being let go from the show. I think that he knew that this was not the right show for him, but I think he was just trying to stay on just to stay on. Then we saw Denise. She was talking to David, and she let him know that the whole Alicia situation was mostly the reason why a lot of the ladies weren't feeling him. And he was trying to, you know, clear his name and say that that's not exactly what he meant. But listen, first impressions and the things that you say on a show, it will always be played back. And what you said is what you said, dude. You basically said you would not be taking care of her kids. So the ladies let him go. And Winter, she ended up speaking to Rashid and let him know that the ladies want to actually know Rashid and not his representative. And that pretty much wraps up Ready to Love this episode. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would love to see you guys' comments. Which guys are you ladies feeling? Do you think that Denise has a target or Rashid's back? Just let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. I'll talk to you guys later for another show. Bye, guys.